I want to ask a question directed towards everyday Americans, people who are going to watch this who have just no background in the law. Maybe they've been to traffic court, right? Why should they care about what is happening at the Department of Justice right now?
They should care because if the formidable powers to prosecute are used for partisan or other improper purposes, and it's not just the Department of Justice, if the Department of Homeland Security is allowed to brutally and viciously treat both aliens and shoot and kill American citizens trying to stand up for aliens to assure that they have due process to determine whether they're in the United States unlawfully and whether they should be removed, deported, then it can happen to them. You've seen this around the world. First, it's despised minorities that are attacked, and then it expands. It might be you're a Democrat today, a member of the Democratic Party. It's possible that you would be targeted for very legitimate, constitutionally protected political activity. You might be deprived of your right to vote. We're talking now in April of 2026. There should be an election in November. There should be a free and fair election, because ordinarily I would expect there'd be a political corrective to the abuses of the Department of Justice and other unlawful and dangerous acts by the president and his administration. But it seems to me that the president's doing everything he can to try to assure that we don't have free and fair elections for Congress this year. And I'm frankly concerned, given the war in Iran and the prospect that there'll be more domestic terrorist incidents, that the president will do something to try to cancel the elections, saying that we're involved in a national emergency and it's too dangerous a time to have an election.
Last question. We are on the precipice of our 250th birthday as an experiment in a democratic republic. What birthday message do you have? One of optimism or perhaps one of caution or warning for America on the eve of this anniversary?
Well, optimism means you expect something's going to succeed, like this effort to resist this existential threat to American democracy. I would say I'm hopeful, because in my lexicon, hope means not that you necessarily expect to succeed, but you know it's the right thing to do. And I would remind the American people at this 250th anniversary of our republic that we've often proudly say we've had the longest democracy in the history of the world. But that should educate us to understand that all the others failed. And we should not be so arrogant as to assume that our democracy, that's been so good to many of us, is enduring. Justice Louis Brandeis, my judicial hero, said that we have to struggle in each generation to truly possess what we've inherited. And I don't think that insight was ever more accurate or important in our country than it is now. And I would encourage younger people and their elders to engage in that struggle where they are, in any way they can contribute to it, to try to assure that our democracy doesn't fail the way all others have in the history of the world.